Welcome to HBO Lax. This is Lizzy Pace.
And this is Katherine Dudas.
Yes, you're back.
I'm back.
I'm so excited.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you to Sarah for filling in and doing an amazing job. I edited the episode and it was so funny on my train back to Vienna. Just listening to a great, I know, I'm like looking out at the German countryside, and listening to you guys argue about whether it's okay for your whether you would yell at your husband for masturbating.
Okay, settle the bet.
Okay, I'm obviously in between you guys. I'm obviously.
Oh, you're in between.
Would I?
It was such a hot take. I was surprised.
My reaction would have been, not anger. It would be like, oh, like that's like totally cool, but like I would have liked to have sex with you. I would go for that.
Blame
route.
yourself.
Blame myself. Yes. Or I would go for
I
like
must
that's
be terrible.
fine. No, yes. Or I would more just be like, I would make a joke out of it. I feel like I would definitely acknowledge like, hey, like, I'm always down. But also, yeah, it doesn't. I don't know. It wouldn't really. But I agree with you that it is different. That like, masturbating and having sex is a different kind of. Need fulfillment, which I thought was a good point. That when I was like, oh, that's an interesting point.
Well, I don't know if everyone feels that way. But
that's interesting. I think you're right, and I think
this is perfect because
yeah.
Jigs and Uncle both just told me they're gonna try to listen to this podcast. I was like, great.
Oh my gosh, guys, welcome. These are we're all adults here. I know I don't know if my mother knows about the podcast, but I don't know if she knows how to get podcasts. So we're hoping she just.
That's good.
Keep
the technology away from her.
Yes, exactly. But it was so funny, and I really like listening to you guys, and but I'm excited to be back. I'm excited to talk about this episode. Oof. I loved it. I loved it.
I feel like we've been building to it. Honestly, this episode came... Okay, we are recapping White Lotus Season 2, Episode 3.
Yes.
This episode, I was like, whoa, I didn't expect this till Episode 7.
Agreed.
So I'm like, what else is going to happen?
This was Game of Thrones pacing. Ooh, this was very,
yes.
We were like, oh, we're just time jump. We're time jumping.
There's a continuation.
Yes.
Can I tell you, I was actually like so excited for this episode. I started rewatching the first episode a little bit. And I made a Game of Thrones connection. I was like, there's this part where Tanya grabs Greg's foot and rubs on her boob. And I'm like, it's foot stuff.
It's foot stuff. Oh, it is. Wow, I didn't. Oh, my God.
All connected.
I burned that out of my brain. Oh, my gosh. It is all connected. No, it's fine. This was definitely my favorite episode of the season.
Oh, me too.
It was. And, okay, so just before we get into it, like the Mike White, I am so in awe of how he's so good at blending genres, and you never forget that this is also like a murder is happening. Like the way he directed this episode was and the music was perfectly spooky and off and weird, and he just does tone
like
so well.
Beautiful vistas, but then they're also like dark. There's dark ocean shots and stuff.
Yes, and the room, like the Noto villa they went to was so like there was something weird, like something so haunted about it, the way that was filmed. It was so good, and I'm so So that's I feel like in this episode was a good, and Aubrey Plaza is the most beautiful woman. I love her so much. I have a huge crush on her. She's just perfect.
Aww.
But yeah,
Aubrey, we know you're listening.
We know you're listening.
Shout
Hi.
out to Aubrey.
Shout out, you're perfect.
She's so good in this episode. She kills.
I'm so
by the way, just on that note of like he keeps that darkness throughout, we keep popping to the heads, the Tiesta de Moro, the like head sculptures that represent cheating. And in the first episode, Daphne says, screw around and you'll be buried in a garden. And we do keep having these lines like about death and like murder throughout, which is also just
You're so right.
really good.
Oh,
And
it's
you're like,
so
ooh, I
good.
wonder if
He
this is
never
gonna mean something
forgets.
different when you watch back, knowing who dies.
I know. Oh my God, Lizzie! This episode I was really thinking about who died. I was like, who dies? And at one point I was like, is Tanya gonna die? I don't know.
She said the thing about like, this would be a beautiful view. I wonder if anyone's ever jumped off of it.
Yeah. Maybe a clever misdirected beat must be like, oh, it won't be her, but maybe it will be her. Because he's brilliant.
Well,
Yeah.
let's get into
it.
We start with this promo. We're reminded of where we were last week. Cameron wants Harper to like him. The sex workers get permission from Valentino to use the hotel with Dom. We see that Harper and Ethan are having an awkward sex life. We see the wounded bird line that Sarah hated by Albie.
Oh, it's funny.
We see the threesome, and we see Tanya's perfect day that has been ruined. And then we see, these gorgeous shots, this fishing boat, the landscape, hills.
Just amazing.
And we get more morning routines. Valentino walks in this blue pantsuit into town and orders a coffee. And this guy hits on her at the bar. He's wearing a wedding ring, says he works at Timeo. I'm like, is that another hotel? Valentino says, I'm not interested. Every morning this happens. Someone stares at my tits. I just want to enjoy my coffee in peace.
Amen.
I'm like, oh, okay. Yes. Exactly.
Amen. Wait, Lizzie, good on picking up that we're starting off on people's morning routines. Good. I did not put all that together. Love that.
I think it's like every episode is one day, right? Like,
yeah, I think. Oh wait,
and to be honest,
right.
I think sometimes you're kind of forced into that structure because I think about like Tanya's storyline. This episode is like she's watching Greg leaving, Greg is leaving. There's not so much of a structure for her storyline here.
That's a good point. And Ethan, on his morning routine, runs past Valentina with a little scoozy. She is. I'm so happy that we got. I really was pleased and a little moved by her little storyline arc.
Valentina's?
Yeah. This episode. I'm excited to talk about it.
I agree.
Yeah.
We see Harper in the morning. She has woken up early. She's tweezing those chin hairs, spraying herself down with something, and posing sexually in the room in this little negligee.
Gorgeous.
Was this your horniest moment?
Not almost, but I loved it. She looked gorgeous. Right before that, though, we have oh my gosh, I was going to say Christopher. Every time I see him, I want to say Christopher.
Oh, yes, Dom.
Dom and his girls from the night before waking up, and he is regretting it, which he should. And then our beautiful Harper on the bed while her husband comes in, and he just completely blows her off. And even though we know he's horny after running, just does not. And I mean, we find out later that it's like, oh, too comfortable. Like he's seen her on the toilet. And I'm like, that's not an excuse. Something emotionally is going on here. But this made me like, it was a big escalation from last week's, because she was deliberately trying. And clearly. But she declares to him that she is going to be a cool, chill girl. And the funnest, coolest girl ever.
I did love this conversation as she starts to get crazier and crazier. And then he's just like, you're scaring me. She's like, there are good friends.
I love that. That made me laugh a lot. And he's just like, okay, like, I don't know. I don't care. But this was
I'm like, she said that Ethan is like honest to a fault, and I'm like, he doesn't seem to be honest with her about anything ever.
Anything. That's interesting. And you can tell her intuition is definitely like she's picking up on it. Like I do like how she's written because nothing is getting past her. Like not any even if she's in denial about it, like even as we see in this episode, like she knows her intuition is fucking on point, and her response to it of like trying to, I don't know, it made me sad. Like the fact that she was like, I'm not going to be a shrew anymore. I was like, that's so, I don't know. It made me sad, but also like, I'm like, you should, enjoy it for yourself. I'm like, half of me, I'm like, well, it's good to have a positive attitude. Yeah, like try to have a more positive attitude. You're in a beautiful place. But obviously she's doing it in this weird way to like compete with the other couple, right? Or impress Cameron a little there, popped into my head. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm confused about her and Ethan's dynamic.
Yeah.
I feel like there's more going on we don't
wait.
know about.
Ooh.
We then see Greg is packing in Tanya's room, and she is dissociating, melting into the bed.
Oh my gosh, relatable.
We see Dom usher out Lucia and Mia, paying them. And they count the cash in the hallway, $3,000. And Bert says, good morning, and runs into them in the hallway. Real subtle, Dom, that you're doing this while you're next door to your father and child.
It's so funny that, like, this episode, he's like, I'm going to show restraint. And, my son could see it. It's like, yeah, I'm surprised your son hasn't already seen. Yes, you are being.
Your son has seen.
Your son has seen. We have Harper and Ethan walk in. Harper all smiles in her cute little headband, and really, trying to be a friendly.
Did you see the sky this morning?
Oh my gosh, so funny. And like the look in her face, such good acting. Like the look in her face before she asked it to be like, because you could see her thinking like, what the fuck do happy people say?
Yeah, she's not coming across very genuine.
Breakfast, no.
And Ethan is smiling, and it's pretty funny.
It is funny.
She's like, babe, want to come to the buffet? We see Albie and Portia at breakfast. Albie says, I wanted to keep hanging out last night. And Portia's like, then you should have come in. He's like, well, I never want to make anyone feel uncomfortable. And she's like, I don't think you're the type of guy who could ever make anyone feel uncomfortable. Maybe you could go in the other direction.
And then he's like,
very direct.
So direct, but then so interesting. He's like so more aggressive. And she's like, doesn't answer. And then she like changes the subject, which I thought was so, it's like it was basically her being like, I'll lead you some of the way, but I'm not going to give you everything.
Bert asked Dom who the girls were in the hallway that he saw coming out of his room, and mouths that they looked like prostitutes. Dom's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Please don't say any of this to Albie. Immediate confession.
It's like, why try? Portia is telling Albie how she's in a weird place, kind of depressed at home, and thought, she could come to Italy and everything would be different, which, wherever you go, there you are. A classic saying, you cannot escape.
Can't run away from your problems.
Can't run away from your problems. And then she asks us if everything is boring. And my heart went, oh, you're depressed. And he was,
yeah, you do need to change your meds.
Yep. I was like, that's depression. And then he was like, no, it's not. He's like, boring. No. Which was like such classic, like happy guy vibes. And yeah, this is like a really sad.
He's like, I'm hitting on you, and you're saying everything is boring.
He's like, I'm boring, yeah. And it's funny because she's just like, yeah, she wants to feel more alive, and she's having existential rabbit holes. So it's an interesting, good insight into where Portia's at, which I think is going to be helpful for the rest of the episodes.
Yeah, she says, she's like, wishing there could have been a time when the world had more mystery. Now you come here, everyone takes the same beautiful picture. It's redundant for Instagram. Meanwhile, Albie has just been taking pictures of himself in front of the view.
A complete, immediate subtweet.
Yeah, exactly. She's like, you can't get lost anymore because you can find yourself on Google Maps, and he says, throw your phone in the ocean.
And then she just keeps looking at it, which was so funny. I loved that. She's like,
yeah,
okay.
Well, I'm not actually gonna do that.
Yeah.
So.
I did love that response though.
I could see her doing it later though.
Oh, I would love that. Because I love that response. I'm like, yeah, because it's like, It's like, yeah, just get rid of it. It's kind of like what Chad says to Bachelor players being, well, delete your Instagram. It's like, if you're that miserable,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Which maybe
Always an option.
Always an option. But we're addicted in the brain. We cut to the.
It's always an option
foursome.
out there for all of us.
For all of us, except me, because I can't. But yeah, we come to our happy foursome. Daphne is talking about wanting to go to Noto, and Cameron's like, no, we want to go jet skiing. And she's like, I want to jet ski. It's the only good weather for it. I want to get Christmas presents. He's like, it's July. She's a good.
I really identify with Daphne here.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
I love to get presents early.
So fun.
Go to little towns.
Oh my gosh. Window shopping or just like going into random cute stores in Italy. That's amazing. And
why is it that adding babe to every line makes it funnier to me?
It does. It is just
babe,
funnier.
I want a jet ski.
It like sounds whiny in a way. I don't know what it is. Yeah, babe.
And they all say Harper should go to Noto with Daphne. And Harper's all on her friendly train, so she's like, oh yeah, okay.
So funny. And then Ethan's like, haha.
We cut back to Bert at Portia, and he says he's playing this Godfather tour. Also, he couldn't sleep last night. A lot of noise coming through the walls. And Albie's like, yeah, you got to come with us. I'm being more aggressive.
Yes, even though he was
hang out with my grandpa is
accused.
not the area to be aggressive in.
Yes, that's such a good point. This was so interesting because now it's like she's like, no, she clearly did not want to go, and Albie cannot read her cues. And it's not so much, and this is like a good commentary on the whole nice guy thing, because it's more just like nice guys are, I think, bad at reading social cues from women. They're just not actually listening to them.
You hear that? Roasted.
Roasted. You're not listening. You're not. You might be nice, which is nice, but you gotta listen.
We cut to Tanya and Greg. She is crying. She says, "Is it the prenup?" He's like, "We'll talk when I get back." And he's like, She's like, "You always look annoyed at me." And he says, "You've done a lot for me. You found me those doctors. I'm gonna live because of you." Tanya's like, "But ever since you found out you had more years, you realize you're stuck living them with me." And he's like, "Couples don't always get along. I've been married 4 times." And she's like, 4? And she has this iconic meltdown. This like physical comedy scream crying. "I thought it was only 3. I just love you."
Genius.
Relatable.
Genius. And also, okay, so he was never sick, right?
I don't know. Was he sick in season 1?
He was, but like now I'm thinking that like he lied. Because I think that was a thing, he thought he only had like a little bit to live, and I think he's lying.
Sense.
I think he just lied and just to get her money, and he thought he could marry her without a prenup. And there were like she helped him get the doctors. That's my predict.
I like that. We see a bunch of the cheating heads repeated again. And we get this second Pretty Woman moment that had been set up between Lucia and Mia, and they are now shopping, and they can buy these expensive dresses. And Mia even asked the person working there to get one off the mannequin. "We have other shops. Please hurry."
Mia is turning a corner. We're seeing some character growth. Seeing an arc happening pretty quickly.
She's certainly making some strong choices.
Yes, she doesn't even sleep. She has her first non-prostitute job, where apparently she didn't even sleep with Dom. Ask, when she talks to her about her half. So
we cut back to the sexy foursome, and Harper looks like she's going to kill Ethan, and they say goodbye.
The difference in kissing between both the couples, perfect. Like long, sexy kiss, and then this like chicken like between Harper and Ethan. And as they head off, we see Lucia and Mia pass our boys. It's a little bit of a foreshadow.
We cut to the Godfather tour.
Oh my God.
There are musicians
I love this
playing.
Scene.
There are Portia's in the shop looking at Godfather merch, and Bert is telling the whole backstory. This is where Michael Corleone was hiding out. His wife blew up right over there. He acts out lines from it. And then they all discuss whether the Godfather is good or bad for the patriarchy.
Oh my God, Lizzy, I was obsessed with this. And to watch it with Mike White knows what he's doing. To watch it with the guy who played Christopher in one of the most famous second most famous piece of gangster media of all time, The Sopranos, and to have him involved in the conversation. And The Sopranos, they're constantly mentioning the Godfather.
It's exactly the same, and they also act the same towards their wives.
This exactly the same thing. And Albie just put it so perfectly. I was like, this is so like, it was just the way he put it was what was the shoot, I didn't write.
He said you would like think it's the best American movie ever made. You're nostalgic for the old days of the patriarchy. Men love The Godfather because they feel emasculated by society and want to solve problems with violence, sleep with every woman, and come home to a wife who asks no questions and makes them pasta. Like,
brilliant. Like, a nail on the head. Like, I've never heard it put that way, and I loved it, obviously.
I loved it, too. And it's like, I don't really remember the Godfather movies, but I do love The Sopranos.
Obsessed. Oh, my gosh. Obsessed. And it was such a, it felt like, because
you're also just seeing like the generational takes on this. Like Bert's like, it's a normal male fantasy. And you have Dom being like, I'm a feminist.
The chicken or the egg thing that they had of like, did this implant the idea that men, or he was like, no, it's hardwired. Our testosterone makes us want to be like freaking Tony Soprano. But
yeah,
Albie's
men are
like,
hardwired
no.
Was almost my misogynist moment.
Yes, almost agreed. And Albie was like, no, gender is a social construct, which it's interesting because I feel like that phrase has been said so much now, and like it just feels like it's such an internet phrase for at least the past 10 years. But so to put it in a show, it's like in a way that's not like eye rolly, that actually like bring something new to it was, I thought, really well done too. And it just made you be like, yeah, it is because you hear that phrase over and over again, you like forget what it means. And like the way he put it was like, yeah, it's just a construct. And it was really cool and refreshing to hear that. I also, I was wondering when The Godfather was broached, I was like, what is Mike White going to do about this? Because it's such a cliche thing. I don't know, not cliche, but it's like to talk about The Godfather, to talk about it's been referenced so much, and he just did such a good job at making it a different conversation and like kind of. Yeah, really fun to watch. This is like my favorite scene. This was so fun to watch.
Yeah, and through like 3 different perspectives.
Yes.
And you have Bert at the end, all that money on Stanford, he comes back brainwashed. Certainly.
Classic.
A type of phrase that's in the zeitgeist as well about Gen Z.
Exactly. Oh my gosh.
We see Tanya. She's still waving goodbye to Greg. And she approaches Valentina, who's screaming at someone on the phone. She asks, are there any psychics in this town? Valentina does not understand. She keeps going. Old school gypsy fortune teller. She says, we have a tarot card reader. And Tanya says, can they make a house call? It's an emergency.
I was like, of course it is. Of course, this whole time I was like, I was just nodding. Like, I was like, yes, it is an emergency.
Oh my God. I'm
you
so
are
excited to go through this tarot story.
I'm excited too.
You're right. It is an emergency.
I was like, yes, she's right. She needs it.
Oh my God, we get this line from Valentina, which I think I might have recorded on my phone because I was like, this made me laugh. Rocco, find the fortune teller for the crazy lady.
Perfect. No notes. Amazing. And then Tanya calls Portia, demands she comes back to the room.
Oh, this was triggering.
Oh, it is. I agree. Oh, it's so... I'm just like, Portia, quit. Get out.
Like, you left the hotel. You were supposed to stay. Like, yeah.
Oh, Albie tells his dad he's a knack for repelling women. I was like, go off.
Oh, yeah.
Which I...
Yeah, he blames Dom for Portia leaving.
Mm-hmm.
They give her a car to drive her back. And Bert asks Albie, do we embarrass you? He says, I don't think you know how you sound. And Bert says, they used to respect the old. Now we're just reminders of an offensive past everyone wants to forget.
It's like, wow, really, really interesting. Obviously a very on the nose line, but I'll forgive it because it was very good. And
how old is Mike White?
It's a good question. I feel like he's my dad's age. I don't know why I feel like he's my dad's age, which is like 56 or something.
52.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
1970. June 28th. What's that? Zodiac.
Oh, like he's a cancer. He's a cancer, which we love. We love cancer men, except sometimes. So I think...
Except you know who you are.
Except you know, yes. This is an interesting thing because I think I'm sure a lot of that generation feels this way, and that's a lot of the reactionary anger towards Gen Z and millennials and this woke, quote unquote wokeness is they are feeling protective over their own nostalgia. I definitely sense that from my own grandmother. Like, you're just like, and I think my dad too, but like there is the longing for a nostalgia that is like honestly just thinking about their childhood and stuff. But like
that's what it is. It's like
it's really just their
when
childhood.
You were young.
Yes, it's literally just we all
like,
feel that. Like, but it doesn't mean we're saying your inherent childhood memories are bad. It just means that yes, the context with which you grow, the societal and political.
Like, I love all the songs that occurred when we were like in high school and going to high school dances.
Oh my gosh,
I'm obsessed with those songs.
Always.
Do I think they're the best music? No.
Or
Probably
the best
not,
messages.
I was very young.
Exactly.
Or the best messages.
Yeah, I'm sure there's
to
weird
the window,
stuff in there.
To the wall. To the sweat and my ball.
That's a perfect... I remember being in middle school
the
dances.
Misogynist song lyric of the
yes, and it's a goddamn American treasure. But yeah, really,
I think you're so right though.
But yeah,
it's about it's
just nostalgia, and we should maybe the way we fix this generational gap, because every generation thinks the younger generation's annoying. Like, since the Roman times, they were like they always were writing about it. Like, this generation sucks. Yes, since like classical times. It's so funny how there's writings from like the 2000 BC about people being like, oh, this new generation does things differently. Like, it's just always been a thing, which is I love that. And we just need to all respect each other's nostalgia, but also take accountability, and moving on.
It's just a very funny like thing to think about, especially after this week when we just had the midterms and Gen Z basically came out to vote hard. And
a very clear generational FU in a weird way, in a way, which is very cool.
Look, I understand being like, oh my God, all the young people think everything I do is offensive.
Yes.
But also, like,
Gen Z
some of them are. Like,
yes.
some of the stuff that we've just had traditions of are offensive.
It's true.
It's okay to look at it and change it.
It is okay. There are chronically online people out there, we all know, but there is a balance. There's like those people who got mad at that woman who tweeted about having coffee with her husband, and everyone got mad.
Oh, yeah, that was really funny.
It was like, I don't have access to coffee. I don't even. I can't. I have IBS.
Wish I was a billionaire and had a garden.
Had access to grass. Anyway, but yes, there is a balance, people. But yes, it's so interesting.
Anyway,
I love it.
We cut back to these sprawling grounds. It's gorgeous. And Daphne and Harper get out at this fancy house. A guy named Pepe shows them around inside. And Harper's like, are you going to tell me what's going on? And Daphne's like, well, I was reading Architectural Digest. Oh my God, love that line.
Classic.
You can rent out the whole place for the night. Now we're here. We kind of have to. It's like, what? You trapped this woman?
I would have had like I could feel in my body how Harper felt. I'm like, okay. Because like, I'm down.
I would immediately make up a lie. I would be like, my medications are back there. I can't. I have to
very
take
valid.
Be pregnant.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yeah, valid. This was.
Yeah, what would you do?
So, I honestly think she did have edibles. I'm like, as long as she has edibles, then I'm fine. But I would, I would be eventually fine. She should have led with that. Lizzy and I both like, well, because
you do the edibles and then you're like, maybe we should stay here.
I think I would be like, I would be annoyed for 10 minutes, and then once I got used to the idea, I would be like, okay, we're doing it. But I would I would be annoyed. Definitely in the first like 10 minutes, I would be like, this is things changed. But I very
the control
expectations versus reality.
And she's like, I don't have any stuff, and she's like, don't worry, I brought extra. Here's an extra bathing suit.
Oh my gosh. I mean, a little
this couple
psycho.
and bathing suits are inappropriate.
Exactly. And she's like, yeah. And then Harper's like, don't you feel weird being here without the guys? And Daphne's like, no. Like, don't you think it's just better, like, to do what you want, even if it's by yourself? Which I was like, yes, girl, love this. And Cameron does things by himself all the time. Okay, yes, love this.
Does what he wants all the time.
I'm
like, what does that mean? I was like, there's a hint at darkness.
Definitely
here.
a hint. And I love Daphne's attitude. Obviously, she has some things to deal with, but I weirdly respect, and it's refreshing to see this in a female, especially compared to Tanya's like reaction to her man, like Daphne being like taking the power back. She was even, because before she invited Harper, she was like, oh, I'll just go by myself. And I love that. I love that, like being like, yeah, sure, I don't, whatever. I'm not codependent.
That's so funny, because this attitude scared the shit out of me. I was like, she's unwell.
I'm like, that's goals. I'm like, what if I could shut myself off from needing things from people? I'm like, the power.
Goals. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Sweet. I love it. We come back to Cameron and Ethan. They're cheersing, having drinks. And Cameron gets into it. He's like, I always knew you were going to do something great. And Ethan's like, oh, it took me a while. He's like, oh, shucks. Oh, this whole time. Cameron's like, you're 36. Give me a break. Ethan's like, you've been raking it in for years. And then Cameron says, wish you could have given me a heads up. You could have hinted a little birdie information. Guys like me, that's all we got. And like guilts him for not doing this.
For not illegally inside trading? I'm assuming that's what.
Yes.
Yeah. What? Like, Jesus.
And I was like, Harper was right. He then asks for money and is like, you should invest with me. Meet the guys, no pressure.
Harper was so right. Yeah. This was I hated. So this like scene was so, I was like, ugh. And when he kept saying, I'm so happy for you. I'm like, so happy for you. It's like so fake and gross. And I don't like how he calls them so like baby. He's like, cheers, baby. It's like, ugh. Gross. It's so slimy.
And then we see 2 shots of the cheating heads. And ominous music.
Mm-hmm.
We cut to Tanya, Portia, and the tarot reader.
And who she calls a gypsy.
Oh my god. Portia's like, I don't think you're supposed to say that word. And then Tanya says the same sentence and then mouths the word gypsy. Oh god.
So good. Great comedy. Great comedic moment. The
lady isn't really speaking, and Tanya thinks that makes her the real deal.
So funny. And then I also like how she's like, oh, can you have a soda or water? And she's like, oh no. And she's like, well, what about a highball? And the psychic's like, yeah, I'll take a highball. I'm assuming that's a drink.
Yeah.
I will say I don't really think that's irresponsible to to drink while you're reading tarot, but it's fine.
Ooh,
It's just my
draws the
opinion.
line of
I try.
drinking.
I'm like, you're connecting. You need to be a clear head. We got to
The unwritten rules of tarot.
the unwritten rules.
Let's go.
We cut to Harper and Daphne in the pool talking about how tight the pants of Italian guys are, and they share a laugh about them showing off their dicks. And then Harper asks her, why didn't you just tell me we were going to spend the night? And Daphne's like, I really want Cam to think that we had so much fun that we just wanted to stay. He has really intense FOMO and abandonment issues, so it's going to be really funny to tell him.
Like, what? Are you still seeing goals when she's saying, I'm going to check in along the way? Is this still goals? He has abandonment issues. It's fun to tell him I'm living it up without him.
No. Of course. I'm just saying, if I'm in the situation like she is, I think this is a better way to deal with it than being, what's it called? Tanya. I'm like, this is a more badass way
is just, like,
to deal with
refusing
this.
to see it.
Yeah. Yes. More of it is a psychotic thing going on here, but I admire it more than the other thing. Because I think I would be more like Tanya in just my natural state. So I like Daphne's approach to it. I like Daphne's like, I manipulate him because I know deep down he's cheating on me. Yeah. Basically.
Like, hide and seek, keep things interesting.
Yeah.
And Harper's like, well, we don't really do that. Can I call Ethan and tell him we're staying here? And Daphne demands to call Cam first.
Oh my gosh.
And then this conversation is so good.
It's
Daphne
Mean Girl.
is amazing.
She's so good. It's so Mean Girl.
She says, we're going to spend the night back tomorrow, but have fun. We have to go. Harper's waiting in the pool. You would die. It's so great here. Love you, honey. Bye. Doesn't let him get a word in.
Perfect. I love
and
it.
Cameron tells Ethan she always pulls this shit, fucking punishing me. You and me, we're gonna fucking party. Let's go jet ski.
It's like punishing you for what?
Cheating, I assume.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, punishing me. Ugh. Yeah, so they're gonna go party. The start of an interesting journey for the two of them. We cut back to the tarot reading, and I did pause the
oh, thank God. The cards.
Yes, I paused it on the cards to read to see which ones they were, and I knew, even though I knew it was like the star, the devil,
there was a moon,
the moon, but
Tull. What is Tull?
I don't know. It was but she when I paused on it and I saw the devil in the middle, the thing that I thought was deceit was like, oh, that's deceit. And then she said, she was like deceitful or whatever. And I was like, yeah. Wow. I was like, because the devil is the Capricorn tarot card. So I know it somewhat. It's like the goat.
You're the devil?
Yeah. So the tarot reader
is very blunt. Says the cards say your husband is in love with someone else.
Hilarious. So funny. I honestly, I would know. This was a little bit of a stretch because I'm like, a tarot reader wouldn't actually say like something that's specific, I think. But also, who knows? Maybe they would.
Maybe if they were the real deal.
Yes, and then exactly. And then Tanya's like, "This is very negative." She keeps saying how negative it is.
I laugh so hard at this. I can't believe I pay for this. You're so negative.
So funny.
And then she starts backing her up.
Yes, and then the tarot card reader is speaking in Italian, and we don't know what she's saying, and she's looking at the cards, and Lizzy. This is why I think Tanya's going to die, because I think she was seeing whatever the murder is. I think that's what that was. And she was like, oh my God. Which I'm like, I know. Or Greg's going to die. I don't know. Someone connected with Tanya is probably going to die.
Oh my God, I think you're right.
I hope it's not Portia. And then she's like, you're so negative. You're right. She's like, this is creepy. And Portia takes some pills from the bathroom. Will be interesting to see what happens there.
Trying to make life interesting. I mean, right there. She should get something for being told to stay in the bathroom by her boss.
100% agreed.
We see in the hallway the three generations, Dom, Bert, and Albie, Dom says, let's meet up for dinner later. Bert's gonna do a nap. Dom says, hey, Albie, I feel like you have a wrong, distorted impression of me. I've always supported women. I'm a feminist. I didn't marry a subservient wife. Your mom is a brilliant woman. And then he's like, did you talk to her?
It's so funny how the way Albie looks at him through this whole scene is just like, I just don't believe you in any way, and I stopped believing you so long ago. And it's kind of it's sad. Like Dom is like, oh, tell her I'm really missing her and Kara, and I feel really awful. And Albie's like, you have to change. You have to actually like stop doing and what you're doing and actually change. And Dom's like, yes, I can change. I am going to change. I'm changing. I will change.
Good luck.
And Albie's like, okay.
We see
Portia.
Portia's like, did she leave to Tanya about the tarot reader? I thought I was going to get a reading.
I got so sad.
This was so sad.
I got really sad.
Yeah.
Like, you deserve a reading, Portia.
She needed it.
She did need it.
She's at a crossroads.
She did need it.
It's an emergency.
Is it an emergency? That is the emergency. And then Tanya doesn't let Portia leave until Tanya doesn't let Portia leave and tells her to go read the new Vanity Fair in the living room, which is my nightmare scenario. Someone telling me you can't leave and you have to read a magazine.
I mean, this is like extremely sad.
So
She's
sad.
like just paying her to hang out there while she passes out on pills.
Oh.
It's like
Just awful.
Oh, Lord.
We cut to Valentina feeding on her lunch break 2 little kittens. Valentina is Tony Soprano. This is the ducks. Oh. These are her ducks. And
these are her ducks. Yeah. I love it.
It was so cute. And I really loved this. And yeah, you just see like, she has a soft spot for animals, not people, which that's some people. Some people connect more with animals.
We see Daphne and Harper walk by 2 Italians who say, marry me. And Daphne's like, no, grazie.
Oh my God, Daphne looks amazing.
Be right back.
They both look amazing.
Look
they look stunning.
And Harper leans against this wall. And suddenly there's 6 guys staring at her. And more keep joining in this like fantastical like group male lure at her. And this moment was my misogynist moment of the week.
Yeah.
This moment, like, to me, accurately conveyed a feeling that
Lizzy,
I know all women have experienced.
I just got goosebumps when you said that because I was about to say the exact same thing. I'm like, Mike White did a really, really good job. For someone who probably never experienced this, he did a really good job directing this scene because, oh my God, I felt the feeling I got, I knew exactly what she was feeling. I'm like, oh, that feeling of just like, I felt it walking last night. It was just, you just know someone's looking at you and you just don't know what to do. You just want to like disappear and you're just like, what, how do I get out of this? But you can't like tell someone to not look at you because it's like, that's not a crime. Anyway, this scene was this was also my misogynist. Actually, no, this wasn't. We'll have different ones, but it was almost. But she, that was really, really well done. That exactly conveyed how that feels.
Yeah. I studied abroad in Rome in college, and my mom had done it as well. And she like spent a very long time before I went, like preparing me. And she was like, you need to wear this big bulky jacket. You need to dye your hair brown. Like,
wow.
Because she would just like get grabbed when she was there a lot. And like, it wasn't that bad when I went, but in Spain it was.
Oh my God.
Like the cat noises, the all sorts of animal noises, jeering. Like it was, it's a horrible feeling.
It's so horrible. I know my mom's Italian, and she's always told me never to date Italian men, which just for that reason. She's like, they cheat and they are too wandering eyes.
Lord.
And I was like, oh, well, I'm sure not all, hashtag not all men, but hashtag not all Italian men, but yeah, really, really, really gross. Also, I love that she was like, dye your hair. That honestly, yeah, that is, yeah. Yeah, God, it's so stupid. It just, yeah, I lived in New York for 3 years, and it was just the worst for catcalling, and you just get so angry. Like if it's because it happens like every day, and you just get angry because you're just like, just stop. Like just like it's like you're only doing this. It's like it's also annoying because as a woman, I just have never felt the urge to I just can't empathize with the urge to ever do that. So it's not like I can be like, oh, I get that urge, but it's like, no, I don't get the urge. It's like, I get the urge to like stand on the left side of the escalator when you're not supposed to, but like, I don't get the urge. Which, by the way, PSA out there, I was just traveling in lots of places and New York too. Why does everyone stand on the left side? Guys, if you stand on the right side of the escalator, I know, I'm getting a little boomer on you. But why does people still stand on the left side? I know COVID,
and
ruined
if you're
us.
sick on an airplane, wear a goddamn mask.
Wear a mask, no matter if you don't have COVID. It's just, at this point, it's just, you don't want to sneeze. And we you can get colds. You can get lots of gross shit from people.
Easy.
Anyway, those are that's our complaint corner with Lizzy and Katherine. Societal complaint.
Well, remember how you're supposed to say all things that you're afraid of. So that's another, ongoing thing we have.
Yes.
Just to keep in mind. Daphne finally offers edibles to Harper.
Finally.
And Harper warns her, I have to be careful. Last time I ended up on the floor and I tripped out on being a woman. And Daphne's like, why don't you like being a woman? She's like, it's fine. And Daphne's like, I do. I'd hate to be a man. It's so lonely, so competitive. Can they even be friends with each other? Cam and I went on the safari and we saw these pods of elephants. She starts talking about the elephant familial structure. And that one of the male elephant ends up wandering alone. I'm like, I did not follow.
It was a little hard to follow. Yeah, it was a little bit of a long metaphor. I was like, okay. Men are lonely.
You okay, Daphne?
Yeah. I think I liked this scene a lot. I also, it was an interesting, because I get that feeling of, I think Harper's thing that she said was really relatable. I feel like I relate to both.
Tripping out on being a woman?
Yes, I think as I feel like I often am in this series, I fall in between Daphne and Harper on a lot of things because I agree with Daphne that I'm obsessed with the fact that I'm a woman because I get to experience female friendships as a woman, and that I feel like is a fucking privilege. And then on the Harper side, it's really weird to be stared at, and to like only be.
Would I give up the female friendships for? I don't have to have my period or give birth or fear for my life every day. I don't know.
I'm not sure.
It is honestly.
It's hard. That's the thing.
Call.
That's what's so interesting about. I think that was such a good summing up of like, yeah, it's like because I take such pride in being a woman and like I do love it, but like it is hard. Cute. And then we cut to a masculine jet skiing scene.
The guys are playing chicken with jet skis.
Nightmare.
They are having the time of their life.
Oh my god! An accident waiting to happen. I hate this.
Very dangerous.
So dangerous. No one do
horrible.
This. Don't ever play chicken on a jet ski.
No one should ever go on a jet ski.
Ever. And don't push each other into pools like happens later. Don't do that either. Oh, now I'm just...
No, you could kill someone.
Don't do it.
Scary.
Anyway.
And their phone.
And your phone. Kill them and their phone.
Anyway, we see it's nighttime. Dark ocean shot. Ooh. Dom walks through this beautiful outdoor hallway. We get to the restaurant, and Dom joins Lucia, and Mia says, I don't think I can meet up tonight. My son's going to catch on, and I have to change. It's like,
that was an interesting order of things you said there.
Yeah. And Lucia's like, I thought we were spending the week together. He's like, you're great. It was fun. He hands him some more money. Such a feminist.
Lizzy, sorry, I'm going on a lot of tangents, but why the way that he interacts and why men, at least on TV and movies, interact with sex workers is so like they're dating them. And I'm like, dude, don't you know you're not He's like, oh, you're a beautiful woman. I had so much fun. It's like, yeah, you paid to have, like, she didn't. It's the way he talks to her, acts like they're dating. I'm like, you're not dating. This isn't an exchange. But I think guys just like really, they love, that's part of the reason I guess they get a sex worker, because it's like this, they also
I think it is part
like
of the reason.
the feeling of of like, maybe I'm also dating you. It's like, you have to like.
And he's like, oh, you're like obsessed with me. But
Yeah, but I gotta stop. I have to break up.
Like, what?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, I literally just want the
Yeah,
money.
she's like, great. Now I have to find someone else. Yeah.
But she's good at her job,
Yes,
you know?
True.
We see this interesting scene between Isabella and Valentina at the front desk, where Isabella, this other hotel worker, tells her she likes how she doesn't take shit from men. And Valentina's like, thanks, you're good too. But you and Rocco talk too much.
Which was funny.
Which is funny. I have noticed her and Rocco are talking a lot.
Lizzy's like, I agree.
They're such minor characters, but I did notice that in the first episode.
Oh, that's so good. Oh, I love that. I like, this was interesting. This was an interesting scene. I was wondering what the angle was here. I'm like, was she being sincere? I was like, is she?
I don't know. It felt more like a setup for something else that's going to happen.
It did feel more like
to
a
me
setup.
than, I don't know. I didn't really understand why this was in
But
here.
Valentina seemed touched.
Because, yeah.
Yeah, she seemed, which was like, oh.
It's because she got her kitten time in today.
Yeah. Oh, I love
that. We see Lucia says she's going to find another date for her and Mia, and she's going up to different men. And then we see Cameron and Ethan are at that same restaurant. And Cameron says, you're a big shot now. I bet a lot of people are sliding into your DMs. And Ethan goes, what good would it do? I'm married. Cameron says, dude, everyone cheats.
Hilarious. Like the third line in this scene is everyone cheats. It's like we just get right into it. So insane. Oof. Everyone cheats. He goes on this interesting justification about I don't know, does that happen in this scene where he talks about the aristocracy and the bourgeois and how the...
Oh, yes. That is later.
Oh, okay.
That's in, like,
a few okay,
things
yeah,
down. But in here he says it's a crime of opportunity. People cheat if they can. So how's your sex life? And we get this line from Ethan, it's hard when you know everything about each other and see each other on the toilet.
It's like, okay.
I also don't feel like they seem like that type of
couple.
couple.
I was going to say, you don't even seem that close. Yeah, I'm like, I think there's...
You don't even seem close at all.
Yes, I think there... Exactly. I'm like, I think there's a deeper emotional reason.
And he says he doesn't lie to his wife. And Cameron says, that's so sweet.
Oh, my God.
Fuck, I didn't know that. And you're like, oh, well, Ethan's absolutely going to lie to her. We see... Tanya notices that Portia has met this guy Albie, and Portia's like, yeah, he's smart, he went to Stanford, he's really nice, maybe a little too nice, wish he got my heart rate up a little more. And Tanya's like, don't spend your life chasing emotionally unavailable men.
Love this moment.
You'll spend your life banging your head against the wall.
That
is true.
True, and I was nervous that Tanya was gonna like scold her or something, but she just gave her like advice. So I was like, oh, good job, Tanya. Also, I will say, obsessed with whoever made the choice to have one of Portia's straps down this whole scene.
Ooh,
like, it just felt so in character. It just felt like when I saw it, I was like, yeah. I was like, this is this girl.
Yeah, I see
it's just like, it's like, can't explain it. It's like, and I wonder if that was the actress's choice, because I'm like, that is such a good choice because it's so specific and so subtle, because obviously it was like, it had to be deliberate because it's like so obvious. Like someone could just tell her to do that. But like, so that to like feel that it's down on your shoulder and not move it back up is a specific type of person. I don't know if that makes sense.
What type of person?
I don't know. No, I don't. I think maybe honestly, just like, her mind is elsewhere. She just doesn't care. Like her mind is just not in her body. Maybe I don't know. So
well, she is on pills.
That's true.
Right?
That's
she did
true.
steal
That
pills.
is true.
We don't know if she took them.
Then we get her,
and then we do get this line.
Yes, we get this line. Monogamy was an idea created by the elite to control the middle class. Meanwhile, all the priests were fucking the altar boys, and the aristocrats were fucking everything that moves. Same now as it ever was. Very interesting. I've never heard this before. I was like, huh. I was like, 29 years of life, I have yet to hear this argument for cheating. But okay.
It seems like a.
I'm like, it's interesting because I was thinking about it. I'm like, okay.
It's an interesting justification.
I'm like, yes. I'm like, monogamy. I'm like, marriage was made up to exchange property. Like, we all know that is like the beginning of marriage, like the idea of marriage. But we've all, as a society, agreed on that, or monogamy means this. But I guess, I don't know. It was interesting.
Cameron saying, you've been brainwashed. It's bourgeois. Monogamy was created by the elite to control the middle class, to justify why, and to say that all the richest guys are the horniest and women like them the most. And if you don't make your wives or your side pieces dreams come true, they make you suffer. So it's safer to stick with Horace. Was my eat the rich moment of the week.
See, this was my misogynist moment of the week, and I think it's also my eat the rich moment of the week.
A lot of the time they can overlap. I have noticed this.
In real life, too. Wow, yeah, this was wild.
This was just like, this is your justification for cheating on your wife.
So, and I hate it because it's like so pseudo-intellectual. It's so like, oh, I have a really intellectual reasoning
This man does not even watch the news.
Yes.
He has no idea.
He doesn't know what's happening.
He's like, I learned all my historical facts I need and don't need any more.
From the Dark Ages, yeah.
I mean, that's basically what Bert also has said.
Yeah.
Wow,
so
but yeah, him like trying to convince Ethan to cheat this whole episode is. It's like maybe what he was doing was kind of charming before, but it's just like, oh, you're like kind of becoming a little bit of a exaggerated character.
Yes,
in my opinion.
I was
like a little really on the nose.
I was thinking that too, Lizzy. Because I was also thinking, because I guess it's funny because he's like, I guess he works at a hedge fund, right? Or like, I don't know. So. From what he's talking about, it reminds me of my brother, or not. He doesn't remind me of my brother, but like he's mentioning like managing people's money, and I'm pretty
certain
sure
Capricorn.
I'm like, my brother works at a hedge fund and like manages people's money, and my brother's like the opposite, is very not this guy, is like very
your brother works at a hedge fund?
Yes. And so, but like, that's why I'm like, this feels very character-driven, because I'm like, think of my brother. My brother's just like a very normal, like, sweet man. And I'm like,
he's not the trifecta of the devil or whatever Daphne called it later.
I'm like, this is a little I'm like, it's a little so I agree with you. I was like, this is kind of, but it is an entertaining dynamic, and I'm sure there are guys like this in real life, it's at least some part of like this.
I used to work at a talent agency. 100% there are men like this.
So, yep. Oh,
anyway.
God, we have Mia and the piano player basically talking about exchanging him helping her with her singing and music career in exchange for sex. And it's interesting because with Mia, like that, she gets really offended, and that's where it's
like A Star Is Born.
Exactly. This is how Hollywood happens, baby. But yeah, Mia, it's funny because she was like, this whole time she was like, or she's dabbling in like helping Lucia with like sex worker stuff. But when it's like, you could tell it's like, but my music is different. It's like her art is like exchanging sex for money is like not as gross as exchanging like sex for art things or like career things. It's like more degrading. So it's like she gets really upset, calls him a dirty old perv. And then the girls go over to Ethan and Cameron, and yeah, and that starts that.
Lucia quickly asks if they party. Oh no,
yeah.
Cameron asks if they party. Lucia says yes. He's like, got any party favors? And he scratches his nose. And she's like, I have pills, Viagra. He's like, we don't need Viagra.
Yeah, our dicks are great.
We fucking jet ski.
I have a prosthetic long dick.
Yeah, I have a prosthetic long dick. Remote control. Anyway, she says, I also have Lady Molly, but they have to pay for it. And he says, I got money, baby. And then we finally get this moment I've been waiting for from the previews, where Lucia yells, let's fun.
I love that.
And he's like, yes,
let's fun.
So good.
So good. Oh, yeah. And then we're like, oh, it's about to get bad. Harper is high staring at walls. Which is honestly, Harper was me in every museum in Eastern Europe, which was fun. And they sit down, and Daphne's like, "So has Ethan changed at all?" And Harper's like, "No, he's exactly the same." And Daphne's like, "Oh, that's so good because they could like start acting different, cheating." And I'm so glad Cameron has a friend like Ethan because like the other guys he's with sucks.
Oh, the dark triad for real. Yeah. Psychopaths. I'm not kidding. Bernie Madoff monsters who will fuck you up.
Harper's like, this is my nightmare. This is actually a horror movie I'm in.
I'm in. We cut to the pool. Portia's sitting there all alone, and there is a man there, and he takes off his shirt and jumps in the pool and says, oh shit, it's cold, I got sensitive nips. Obviously trying to talk to Portia.
Obsessed. Love this. But
he gets cockblocked by Albie coming out. He's gotten a beer for Portia she wasn't even expecting, and she says she's had a pretty grim day. If I murdered my boss, I could argue it was euthanasia.
So funny. And then Albie kisses her. It gives like the lamest kisses of all time. He's like, was that okay? And she's like, oh, it was fine. Boy. I wasn't expecting it. And this scene was so... we should have a cringiest scene award, because this scene was my cringiest scene.
See, it's funny because when they're awkwardly making out, I'm like, yes, that is the cringiest moment of the episode.
Yes.
But when she is kissing him while eyeing the pool boy, and then eyeing the pool boy after she makes out with him, this was my horniest moment of the week.
Yes. Okay, yes. Love that.
I thought that eye contact was just amazing.
Very horny.
I'm very excited to see where this storyline is going to go.
Yep. That was, there was something, this scene made me feel so, it really made me wonder what's going to happen with Albie and what Albie's arc is going to be. This actually really made me think, like, what's going to happen here? Also, that guy was really hot. Anyway.
You are also supposed to mention that.
Yeah, that's right.
That's your job.
Speaking of people finding other people hot, Dom, we got to Dom in the bar eyeing every woman, his sex addiction. He is just...
Our feminist king.
Just trying not to eye fuck every woman. Getting really wasted. He's so drunk. Tanya is at the bar as well. She is also not sober.
They're both
just
faded, and they finish their drinks and leave. We cut back to Noto. Harper's now at the piano and asking Daphne, do you think Cameron ever cheats on you? Getting down to
Love
it.
it.
Daphne says, maybe just once that I know about. Don't feel bad for me. I figured out how to handle it. Like today, I do what I want, so I'm not resentful. Yep, seems like she's handling it in a super healthy way.
I never claimed it was healthy. I claimed it was badass, and I wish I could do it.
You said it was goals.
Goals. If I was in this situation, I would be like, yeah, fuck you, Cameron. I'm going to do what I want. She has pride, you know?
Well, Harper's like, how do you handle it? She says, I'm not a victim. It's like,
Yeah, she clearly needs to divorce her husband.
protesting too much.
Yes.
Protest too
It's
much.
true. I do like that Harper just asked her out of the blue. But this is a thing girls can do. Girls can just, this is what's lovely about female friendships, or female friendships that are in the beginning stages. You literally can just ask a girl. I feel like girls who I become friends with right away, I'll like ask within like 20 minutes of talking to each other. We'll be like, oh yeah.
I'm showing them birthing videos
Absolutely.
on the internet.
I'm
within
like, do
20
you
minutes.
see how it tore up
Guaranteed.
it tore down to her asshole? Couldn't do an episiotomy. Anyway, we cut to the partiers, the fun, cool bros, and the girls
Pounding shots.
Everyone's just getting wasted, and throwing people in the pool, which I hate. You're not supposed to do that. I don't like that. You're drinking.
We also see like Cameron is like feeding Ethan and Olive. He has his arm around him, and then you see Lucia has her arm around Mia. It's kind of like they're both coercing them into the situation.
Absolutely. Cameron and Lucia start
and
making out.
They finally make out.
And then Ethan goes into the water and it just enjoys being underwater on drugs, which is fun. And then he's like, I guess he locks himself in his room because he's like, wants to escape. Probably. And they're like, hello, come on, blah, blah. And they run in with champagne. He kisses him again. Cameron wants to fuck Ethan. Or maybe it's like a power move.
Yeah. Oh, I think, yeah. I'm not sure which one
It's
it is.
so interesting.
But he does keep kissing him. And they're now finally opening the adjoining rooms that they had set up.
This is, that we saw this coming. We saw it coming.
Yep.
They're on the bed together.
Lucia and Mia are in the White Lotus robes. Cameron calls Ethan, says, go see Shy Boy, really trying to push Ethan to cheat as well. Mia kisses Ethan, and then Ethan's like, no. And then we see Lucia's dry humping Cameron takes her top off.
And that was my horniest moment of the episode.
I was wondering, I was like, well, what are you doing? That's what she said.
That's what she said. I was like, it was a pretty horny moment. We got some full on dry humping going on. Ethan's like watching, smoking a cigarette, looking back. Also, yeah, I mean, Cameron like forcing Ethan to cheat also feels a little bit like, you're not better than me. Like, you cheat. Like, bringing him
this
down.
This is going to help me feel better about what I'm doing.
That is a thing humans do a lot, I think.
And we see that Ethan is ignoring this call from Harper, and that is the last shot. And I was like, this is an interesting ending to me. Like, it's not the cliffhanger. It's not like Mia has just kissed Ethan or something of whether or not he would cheat. But maybe it's like the first notch. I
agree.
What do you think is gonna happen?
That's a really
only on episode 3.
That's a really good point. Because I think this must mark like a shift in their relation. Like this is like the first significant shift.
Because he's gonna have to lie about it.
Yeah, because he's gonna have to lie about it. Right? It's definitely gonna come out at some point. I mean, maybe it comes out next episode. Maybe like that's this pacing. Like I don't know. That would be really interesting.
The promo for next week was pretty short.
It was short.
I'm not sure.
And so we see that they don't have enough money to pay them right at that moment, and and Cameron shoves the girls out. Mia's trying to is gonna sleep with the piano guy for career help. And
Mia.
Bert's like, I saw a naked woman in my room. And Harper, was like, you guys drank a lot, and what happened yesterday? And clearly is feeling separated. And yeah, it's basically.
We'll see that reunion. That storyline I'm definitely the most excited
Me
about.
too.
Right now.
I agree. I think
before
that story
where it's going to go.
That is still the storyline that has my attention the most. Though I did enjoy, though my favorite scene was definitely that Godfather scene. And the Albie and Dom relationship I think is interesting too. Because just that the two very different father-son, very different views on life and women and the world, and how Albie breaking the cycle is really interesting to me. But yeah,
and of course Tanya screaming that the tarot reader is too negative. Oh my god.
That was really funny.
I really feel like they were like, what are we going to do for her character this season? And then they were like, let's just do a bunch of set pieces. They don't really need to all tie together. It's like, well, we want to see her on a Vespa chess game. We want to see her slooping up some spaghetti.
Wait, I think that's a great way to write it.
At a tarot reader.
Wait, that's brilliant.
It's like, what do you want from that character in Sicily?
Yes. Wait, that's actually, that's a great way to write.
They're giving us everything I want and more
Agreed.
from it.
Wow.
But thank you everyone for joining us
you.
for episode 3. We'll be back next week for episode 4. Can't wait. I mean, literally, I started watching the first episode before this one.
I love that. I was really excited. Yeah. Well, thank you, Lizzy, and everyone. Tell your friends. Rate and review us.
Oh yes. Send this podcast to a friend.
Yes. That really helps.
Rate us 5 stars.
That's honestly how I love podcasts. That's how I get a lot of my podcast recs is from friends.
I don't listen to a podcast unless someone that I trust their opinion tells me to listen to it. I would never search for a podcast.
That is fair.
I mean, I have, but
that is fair. So yes, please tell your friends.
Yeah, so please tell a friend. That'll help us, and then we won't have to, call up Giuseppe and further our careers that way.
Which we'll do anything, baby. It's show business. Well, thanks, Lizzy, for potting with me.
Allora.
Love you.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.